this episode, we'll be talking to Don McCready. Now, if you don't know who Don is, he is the creator of DMC Fins. So we'll be going in depth into the business of how it started, where it is today, the impact COVID had on the business, and also what he's doing to make a new fin and make it better for the customer. So stick around and get ready for a good episode.
There we go.
Hey, nice. How are you, Don?
I'm good.
That's good. That's good. What have you been up to this morning?
Mate, just finished the workout. Started at about 4:30 a.m. doing international emails and bits and pieces from our site in the US, and all the stuff that just piles in and has to be dealt with.
Yeah. Did you get out to the beach or for a swim today?
No. I just had a little workout in the garage gym.
Oh, nice.
Went down to the beach. We go down about 6:45 and sit there and watch the waves and do all of our work sitting on the park bench.
Yeah,
well,
nice.
The beach park bench.
So where are you calling us from?
I'm at the office. We've got a little showroom here in Warriewood.
Oh,
there
nice.
You go. There's me dog. Say g'day, Rocco. G'day. There's our latest install that's going into, I don't know, 10 or 15 stores, surf shops in the next couple of weeks. There you go, outside. There's our there's Jordan. Say g'day to Jordan. He's our warehouse manager and also media genius.
Oh, nice. Nice. So your dog there, is he generally your employee of the month? How does he go?
Rocco's a little champion. Yeah, he just hangs out and usually ends up asleep on someone's lap and snores so loud that we have to leave the room.
Not a bad employee to be around.
He's cool.
Thanks so much Sorry?
I say, are you actually at the swimwear shack?
I actually am. Yeah, I'm just upstairs in Aaron's office actually, and yeah, this is generally where we do our little Q&As and stuff.
Cool.
Yeah, thanks so much for jumping on and taking the time out to have a talk with us. We've got plenty of questions to ask you about yourself and the brand, so how you pretty much built it up to where it is today. So first question, give us a bit of a background about yourself and how you built the DMC brand up.
Oh golly, mate, I was born into a swimming family. My mum was a swimming teacher down at the local sea baths or rock pool. She ended up being I think she was the race secretary for 3 swimming clubs. And she ended up the president, patron, and of that kind of thing of the ladies' baths at Coogee. Actually, she featured on the documentary called The Pool. I don't know whether you saw it. It was on the ABC last year. She kind of saved the ladies' baths from a nasty man who tried to have it removed as women only, and they used to let young blokes in. I think they still do up to about 9 years old. But it's all about the privacy of women with all kinds of issues, and I think it's the last of that in Coogee, which is in the eastern suburbs of Sydney, in between Maroubra and Bondi. Anyway, I was chucked in the deep end when I was very little, and became part of this whole sort of eastern suburbs swimming clubs, Randwick, Coogee, Maroubra. Trained with JR and Barry Rogers over at Heffron Park. I was sort of like a lazy trainer. Yeah, that's right. I know. He agrees. Anyway, I like the sort of the team thing, and I was always part of teams, swimming team, surf club, and got interested in making flippers or fins, as we call them these days, when I was about 20, 22 years old. Yeah, I was in the fire brigade, and you know, had been had a bunch of jobs. Was always interested in design of things, anything that moved or sort of you know, was part of my life. I remember my dad had a book of why, WHY, and why does this work, Dad? And how do you do that? So we just had a garage full of stuff, and you know, I'd find him up there tinkering. He was a fisherman, and he was always making floats and fishing rigs for casting off and getting what he could off the rocks right down near the swimming club where my mum was. Anyway, yeah, he just let me loose on the tools, and I just used to make stuff and muck around and do all sorts of things. And anyway, I was in the Fireys and had been to Hawaii a bunch of times in the sort of very, very little known body surfing circuit of Hawaii in the early 80s. It was around the mid 80s when I decided that I wanted to make a flipper, something better than what was available. There was 3 or 4 models on the market in you know, globally, really, particularly in the US and Hawaii and Australia. And just sat down and sketched and mucked around and tinkered, and probably 18 months later, yeah, just like that, you know, we moulded our first what was known as the hydro fin. Now, I had organised a patent or a patent, depends on which side of the fence you're on, what you call it, of design, and a patent of invention of the V rail of the hydro fin, which is still part of the as you can see, this guy here, that was the V rail of the hydro fin. This is kind of like a 25-year later version of. That's an Elite 2 in there you go. It's probably a better angle of it. And the V rail was protected by an international patent in the US, Australia, and Europe for well, you get 17 to 20 years depending on the status of the actual patent and what country it's registered in or approved in. And I just, I started selling one size of the hydro fins in size extra large, and that was because it fitted me and with a bootie on. And I think it took, that was early 88. It took until 1991 before I had a full set of molds in an array of sizes from extra small through to extra large. And we ended up going offshore, and I manufactured those in Thailand.
Yeah.
Don't know if I've got the story jointed or disjointed, but anyway, in the ensuing years, the Hydro brand, which was that was my life from then until I sold it in 2010, was a combination of surf products, bodyboards, handboards, several different models of the hydro fins, and then and we had a softboard brand called Softtech as well, and a sort of a high-end bodyboard brand called Elite, which is funny that our number one selling fin these days is called the Elite, because I spelled it correctly as opposed to the young bloke who designed for us, and I think he just made a spelling mistake and we stuck with it. But anyway, the DMC brand, it just realistically was stumbled upon because of the fact that the guys that bought the Hydro brand from me, they were a surf distributor, international surf distributor called Surf Hardware International, and they did the FCS brand and the whole sort of stable of other brands, and they distributed for me in Japan and parts of Europe, including particularly France, back in those days in the early noughties through to 2010. And they didn't buy what became the. I'll go and grab them. I like a bit of show and tell. Why not?
Yeah. I love it.
They didn't buy the molds to these two guys. That was the original training fins and the elite fins, which were known as the hydro training fins and the hydro T2 swim. And they didn't buy those. And I still had several distributors internationally, and I was still ticking over a few pairs of fins to some good accounts and a lot of swimming coaches. We actually kicked off a swim school in Avalon, built a 25-metre pool, and sort of stuck a sign in the ground like birdseed or swim coaching, and we had 150 people on our doorstep every week for 6 years. In the meantime, I took these guys to the World Swim Coaches Clinic in California in 2011. It was down in San Diego, and a particular very, very, very well-known swimmer and the greatest Olympian of all time came up to me and said he sort of had to part through his entourage of 14 people and ask for a pair of these so he could train for the London Olympics. And of course, the whole show just sort of focused on this DMC guy, over in the corner. I had to toss a brand new hamburger with half a bite in it. I had to toss it as he approached me. He's going like, "How you going, mate?" And anyway, I'm sure you know who I'm talking about.
Michael Phelps, of course, yeah.
That's it. And so we slipped a pair of these on him. He said, "Look, I asked his coach. I said, asked his manager, and himself. Look, can we tell anyone that you've got these?" Because he suggested that he had used a pair several months previous, and Michael Klim had to wrestle them back off him, and he couldn't find out where to get them, but he loved them and wanted to train for the London Olympics using these, which he did. And then I sent him a couple of other pairs through some channels of what was our Warrior fin, which was the same product, only it had a slightly stiffer blade area that we worked on. And I saw him using those up until Rio.
Yeah, right.
So and it's sort of like our notoriety, I suppose, and brand image was still spreading out, around the globe, and particularly here with coaches. And we do a lot of liaising with coaches and teams and elite swimming athletes, and right down to learn to swim people. One of our best customers is a swim school up the road, and there's a lady she has only bought these for 10 years, and she goes through probably 50 pairs a month, and harassed me and hounded me for years to go down from triple extra small, which we do 5 extra small nowadays, and we've got a bunch of different molds for the originals, and look, it's I like to be let off the leash, and I get to sit in the corner and play with the toys, and I get in the water as often as I can, and that's the whole sort of pretense of what I do is to just sort of tweak and do my best to work out what can be done better to get an advantage out of a pair of fins for aquatic propulsion, not necessarily for swimming training or surf life saving or lifeguarding or body surfing or anything, but just what makes something give a little bit of torque, but mainly be comfortable. There's so many different models of similar product out there that just chew your feet off like like you're sticking your foot in a cheese grater. So the point of the new material that we use, which is exclusive to our factory where we produce our products, is so soft and silky. It's we work on the quality of the material a considerable amount, but and then so it's the material first, and then design the product around the material, as opposed to design something and then just go, what are we going to make it out of?
Yeah, yeah, and that's exactly right. And you touching on the super uncomfortable fins that were before the DMC brand. So I just remember from experience, like going to the pool and hating wearing fins, the long blade, awful, rough fins that you'd always get blisters. Like you always had to wear socks so you wouldn't get blisters. That'd just be uncomfortable. If your toes come out, like just the way that they were shaped would just be so like terrible to wear. And yeah, you're talking about your like the material it's made of, the Elite Ones. And then you came up with a better idea of bringing out these Elite 2s that are a lot more softer and a lot more flexible. Experience from working in the shop here is generally anyone who's gone from a long blade fin to a short blade fin love the Elite Ones. And then if they're looking for something that's, a little bit softer, they go for the Elite 2s and they're like, these are incredible, like to wear.
Sure. Now they're actually made from exactly the same material. But there's subtleties with regards to the design, wall thicknesses, and finish on the inside. Where a lot of our design goes onto the actual foot insert, which creates the hole inside the flipper. Which a lot of people don't even think about. They just as you would see at a bootmaker's store, they have what's called the last, which is the part that's shaped like a foot, and the shoe is produced around that. That's I don't know whether they call it the last. Maybe someone just made it last, and that the name stuck. But we call it the core or the foot insert, and I've seen a lot of foot inserts at a lot of factories that are rough as sandpaper, and there's a lot to be done on that just to make it comfortable for your foot to be in there. I'm not sure on the rating of kicking specifically for each individual, but if you're kicking approximately 99 times per 100 meters, there's a lot of kicking going on inside the foot area. And there's a lot of ways that you could damage your toes, the knuckles of your toes, your instep, your arch, the back of your heel, the whole bit. So we try to work on that, and and just something for anyone who cares to watch this and listen to an old flipper maker. Wet and dry sandpaper works really well on any little undulations or there's a trimming process that goes on after the actual fin is produced from the mold, and it's done as carefully as possible. But on occasion, it might be a Wednesday when someone's having a chat to someone else while they're doing it. They might miss a little tiny piece of material, and it makes it through to the customer, and they feel that they like you buy a brand new pair of shoes, you go and wear them for the first time, and you feel that they're rubbing on some part of you. Wet and dry sandpaper, get onto the ankle strap, and just give it a little rub and a little sort of mold around to round the corners off, and it usually does the trick after about 4 or 5 seconds of that.
Yeah. Ooh, that's a good little tip.
There you go. So there's lots of little tips with flipper wearing that, particularly in the surf, because you get sand and grit and all kinds of rubbish in your fins in the surf, and people have been producing stuff specifically to stop blisters and abrasions for many years. But the best thing is to have a look at what you're wearing first, and just knock off any little little blips or or burrs or anything that you may see that might cause some sort of discomfort at some stage. After 1,000 of those things with your foot inside it, anything can happen if you've got a tiny little sort of undulation. Just Vaseline can also help as well. Or some kind of petroleum jelly product, or I wouldn't say get the canola oil and spray it inside your shoe, but something with a little bit of petroleum feel. You can either put it on the actual product or on your ankle or your heel or wherever it goes, and you'd be surprised that may even help as well.
Yeah. And when you're going through and trying to look for kind of different features in a fin, do you wear them yourself and then go, this would be really good, this would be really good? Or do you generally take it a bit more from customer feedback, or even both?
I get both, but I mean, I'm where the buck stops with regards to the innovation and particularly R&D. Or product analysis, as I like to say when I'm walking down the beach going for a body surf. Always doing product analysis, always looking at and trying to work out how it feels. And in certain situations, I was just thinking of that in the car on the way over, how to describe what where we came up with our next patent, which is the reverse V-rail. And this is on on these guys here, which is the Elite Max. This is the Repeller, which is our yardstick for surf and power body surfing. We got a bunch of world champion body surfers using this, bodyboarders, kneeboarders, and we're supplying the New South Wales Surf Lifesaving Association with a considerable number of these in orange and yellow safety colours. So, well, it's actually warm red sea, but I call it orange. So we transferred it to the Elite Max, and from the Elite fin, the Elite One fin, which is this guy, that's an asymmetric blade, and so it's a left and a right foot configuration. We did the same with the Max, and have found that utilising the rails as per the Repeller and the reverse V-rail patent, we had to slightly defer the angle and the size on the outside, on the inside of this particular product. And what do we got? We got right now. We just delivered a pair to Cesar Cielo. You ever heard of him?
Yep, Cesar Cielo. Yeah, world record holder. Yep.
Fastest swimmer in the world at the moment. Yeah, he loves his white Elite Max, and is training with them now in Brazil. Yeah, and they're in a pretty serious predicament over there with regards to, here we are in 2020 in the weirdest year of all time in 100 years, I suppose, or ever. I've seen some videos of him in an indoor pool with only one person per lane, training for Tokyo. If that goes ahead, gosh knows. I hope so. We're all got our fingers crossed over here. We're doing okay, and the lid is slowly tightening on that in all states, particularly in New South Wales. I think we got 0 for 3 days, new cases in New South Wales. Victoria's on the decline, but other things are on the incline down there. I've heard from a few people who are going crazy ape bonkers.
Yeah, well, I would be. I mean, spending so long in lockdown, obviously.
Oh boy,
it's been a rough time.
It has.
So going back to your fin, the reverse V-rail. So I only wear the Elite ones. So tell us a bit of the difference between the feel in the reverse V-rail.
Well, I mean, the whole premise of the design is to catch more water and deliver as much water in the area of which both fins are facing, and catch as many undulations, eddies and vortexes as possible, so as to look. There's varying opinions with regards to why people wear swim fins for swim training, and my idea is to make it easier for you to get yourself into the optimum racing position, without using the lower body and the biggest muscles in the lower body, which is pumping more blood and causing fatigue faster. Henceforth, most people swim in this position for a short amount of time and then end up in this position. Those who are not at elite level, but even if one did go as quickly as we could sprint, you can't keep it up. Your legs start to fail first, because they are the largest muscle groups. So the whole point is to get as much flow from the fin blade area in that direction, to make it easier for your stroke and your upper body to get your catch right, get your pull right, and make it easier for your head to relax, to breathe, and streamline. And we, this design, we think, is what most elite athletes should be using these days. You'll have to grab a pair off the rack up there and have a little turn.
Yeah.
And I'd love to hear the feedback.
Yeah, definitely. We're always love stocking your DMC fins, and they pretty much go as quickly as they come. Sorry, just give me a minute. I'm just going to take the phone outside. I forgot it was in here. Might be a minute.
Oh, mate, no worries at all. I've got all day.
Hey?
I said, I've got all day.
Oh, that's good, because we love talking to you, and I've got plenty of questions here for you.
All right. Gee, I think you've only hit me with 2 questions. I haven't stopped.
Yeah, no, that's all good. Yeah, whenever you need to go, just let me know, and yeah, that's all good.
Cool.
So let's talk about a little bit more into the future of DMC. Is there anything that you got in the works at the moment, and if so, how do you go from the range and the amount of features that you've got in your current fins into something that's completely new?
I usually just sort of dream it and wake up in the morning and write it down, and then have a little dabble with it when I get to the office or in the garage. I mean, at the moment we're working on. Look, last year we did the graphic series, which is fashion on fins, and that really excited people all over the world. We sold a lot of those in China and Korea and all throughout Asia, the US and Europe, and of course in Australia. I know you guys pumped through a few pairs, but this year we're just about to launch something, which is pretty groovy. We did it with our Repeller surf fins, sort of right in the middle of the first pandemic, I guess, term. But as we're coming out and we're coming into our summer, we've come up with something like which is this guy here, and it's actually, well, there you go. I'll rush over and grab the lot. But it's the Elite UV series, which are 4 kind of cool colors, and they're a translucent material that when you run outside or you take them out of your bag in the sun, they change color on the tips and the straps.
That is awesome.
So look, they'll be available in about 3 weeks' time in most stores. we got our first shipment leaving in the next couple of days, and we're pretty excited just to sort of give a little sort of bright patch to people who can finally get out into the pool, get in the sun. The temperature's warming up a bit, so hopefully you won't have to wear your triathlon wetsuit when you jump in that outdoor pool. I don't know about you, but most of the outdoor pools down here aren't heated. And I know they aren't in Queensland ever because the weather's so wonderful. But I think anywhere else in Australia where you can get into an outdoor pool, in your swimsuit, other than 2 or 3 mils of rubber in a steamer or a triathlon suit is best. So look, I could. It's actually gone grey and overcast out there. But give me 20 seconds, and I'll.
All good. Yeah.
I'll get these guys to change colour. I can still talk to you. I forgot about that. There you go.
So, what inspired these new fins?
Oh, mate, it's just the simple fact that there you go.
Wow, they're cool.
10 seconds in the sun, and they're already turning. Look, it's something. Our elite model is our best seller, and it's and that's sort of across all continents. And we just thought we'd do something really cool. I stumbled upon some material when I was traveling throughout Asia last year. We did it with the repeller fins for surf, and they're $200 a pair because the material just isn't cheap. And we thought, well, look, gone are the days when you can gone are the days when the same price that occurred in 1992 is happening in 2020. I think people expect to pay for quality, and they don't mind doing so. Therefore, we listed it at that. These guys will be available for $89 a pair, and they come in a really cool little reusable bag with a carabiner on the bag that can clip onto the outside of your bag, and they'll do the trick, I'm sure.
Yeah, definitely, and yeah, as you said before, you can't skimp on quality. Like going back to when we were mentioning those old horrible rough long blade fins. I mean,
sure,
it's worth it. Like whatever it's going to cost you is definitely worth your fins. That's for sure.
Sure. Well, look, a lot of parents. We used to do a considerable amount of markets on weekends, and particularly holiday season, and events at ocean swims and swim meets, etc., and beach events. A lot of parents say, "Whoa, how come those fins are they're $110?" And I simply say, look, basically because the material, the R&D, the CAD work, the molds, everything's factored into keeping the business going. The retailer has to make a margin. The wholesaler has to make a margin. Otherwise, we just go out of business. We can do it for a certain amount of time for charity, but if we want to stick around and keep producing new products with new material, we have to set a reasonable price level. And by the way, how much does your running shoes cost? And they go, oh, I got them on special for $150. They should have been $229, And I go, well, how long will they last? And they say, oh, they usually last about 6 months, at least. And I said, well, you know, here's a pair of fins you're just about to buy for yourself or for your you know, your wife or your husband or your kid who's swim training 3 or 4 times a week, and they'll get at least 4 or 5 years of value out of this, and the cost is 30 or 40% less than what you just told me you pay for a pair of running shoes that only lasts you 6 months. And it's like they step on a rake and they just go, oh, now I get it. You know, so you know, it's an education, and you know, some people just won't cop it at all and have to buy the cheapest thing they can get their hands onto, and will, you know, haggle or, you know, get on Facebook Marketplace and buy second-hand stuff. It's fair enough. You know, there's a market for everything, but you know, we're into producing quality and updating the material and updating, you know, simply colorways just for aesthetic purposes. But you know, we've got to make it fun. Swimming is hard. You know, it's not the easiest thing to do. Following that black line up and down, and, you know, holding your breath a lot, and you know, and doing it an exceptional amount of time, considering, you know, other sports that, you know, train 2 or 3 times a week and play on the weekends. Swimming is a conditioning sport where you've got to spend, you know, if you want to be an elite athlete, maybe 11 sessions a week. So you want something good that ain't going to hurt your feet, and at least be a little bit pleasing other than that as well, to, you know, to drag along in your giant bag of goodies that you stick next to the pool.
Yeah, and that's exactly right. And it doesn't even have to be a complete elite athlete that's training 11 times a week. It could be a normal lap swimmer who's trying to stay fit, you know, and they've got to go to the pool, you know, 2 or 3 times a week. But when you add that up over a year, that's over 150 times to the pool that you want to be wearing comfortable fins.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I don't know whether you saw our latest little Instagram post, but, you know, DMC fins, they're like fluffy slippers for your feet.
Yeah, I did see that. So obviously a lot of highlights in the business. We'll say, apart from COVID, what has been the most challenging part of the business?
Well, COVID's certainly been challenging, I can guarantee you. You know, with regards to, you know, lack of travel, and I mean, you know, look, everyone's in the same boat. And to be honest, you know, we're all fit and healthy down here, so you know, we've got a lot to be thankful for. You know, other than those people who sadly, you know, had loved ones pass away or got sick themselves, but look, you know, the hardest part is just turning up every day and getting excited, of which I'm lucky to be able to do, to, you know, walk into my warehouse and see all of my products, and the orders are still flowing, albeit, you know, significantly less in a lot of places because of the fact that, you know, there's some giant lockdowns occurring in the UK and in parts of Europe, and, you know, and the US just looks like you know, a bowl of spaghetti at the moment. But you know, those that are you know, putting the effort in to find somewhere to train. I've seen some interesting places, you know, you know, makeshift swimming pools in backyards, and, you know, and in apartments, etc. But look, you know, to answer your question, mate, you know, I'm very lucky that I get to do what I do, and I'm happy to do it because, you know, I know that the end result is someone gets something that, you know, that they enjoy while they're using them, and you know, it's kind of a warm and fuzzy feeling for all of us here at DMC Fins.
Yeah, yeah. Do you have a personal favorite, and if so, what type of fins, or should I say, why those fins over your other range?
Well, you know, I haven't been body surfing as much as I would like. I've had a niggling back injury for about 35 years, which sort of caught me while I was dragging a bag into the back of a car, after a big trip about 9 months ago, and it's been on and off, on and off, on and off. But look, I kind of make myself take whatever I can find that isn't being used, and is sort of laying around the warehouse, and I end up giving them away to someone just about every time I've used them a couple of times. I don't know, it must be the Santa Claus effect or something, but or the Santa Claus syndrome. But look, I just like to stoke out, kids and or anyone on the beach or at the pool, and it always occurs that they say, "Hey, where'd you get them?" And I tell them what happened and who I am and what I'm doing, and let them try them, and so I don't really have a personal favourite. I like all of my products, and I generally take any pair of repeller fins I can get my hands on to go body surfing, and just yesterday, because I do have a sneaky little project that's going on that I can't tell you about. It's another product made from the same material, but I grabbed my leopards, wildcats, to go for a swim, which I'm hoping probably this afternoon or tomorrow morning to play with a little gadget that I've been chipping away at for a little while.
Yeah. You've got so many unique and different patterns on all your fins, and obviously they've all got their own little features that are so different. Yeah, the Elite 2s that are super flexible that you can fold as you're doing.
Yes.
Is there any
That's
particular
one of my favourite things to do.
Sorry?
It's one of my favourite things to do while I'm showing people how flexible they are and how comfortable they will be when we're at markets and trade shows, and they just can't believe
it. Yeah, what sort of fins can do that?
Sorry, Rocco.
Is there any particular print or pattern and color that you'd really, really like to do with one of your fins, but can't seem to get a hold of, or have you been able?
No, there isn't anything that we can't do, and we just can't. We can source any pattern, any print, and we can produce any pattern, any print that we want. But we're just taking our time. We've got a little further to go. We're not going anywhere. We're sticking around for a while. Hopefully for a millennium, or 10 or 20 years, whichever comes first. Look, once I can get back into travelling to our factory, of which I found a bunch of guys 8 years ago, and have a really good relationship with, and I miss them. They're like my family, and vice versa. We've got a lot of R&D and sort of fact finding to do on the next trip that I can get over there, we're sort of planning all kinds of funky things. Probably coming up for next summer. This summer it's the Elite UVs.
Yep.
Which we're really stoked with. We've done a little promo video over the last couple of weeks, which we'll be launching on social next week, and I think we're going to be taking pre-orders for October week 3 delivery.
Nice.
And I know the Swimwear Shack is getting a bunch of them.
Yeah. Aaron always gets so excited when you come out with a new product. He's always on the front foot to getting his order in with you.
Sure.
Well, can I suggest if you can do a teal coloured fin, I think it would do really, really well in the shop. Any product that we've stocked in this shop that's been teal has been the first one to go for sure.
There you go. So no, fair. I know what colour you're talking about, and I have seen I've seen it filtered through the sort of fashion industry over the years, and I think there's even a few teal-coloured cars flopping around in certain brands recently.
Yeah, it's definitely one. Yeah, for the shop if you can get your hands on it.
Okay, all right. Well, I'll take that on board, and we'll flick through the teal Pantone colours.
Sweet, sweet. Has there been any previous businesses that you've been in, and if so, did that inspire you to create DMC Fins?
The Hydro brand was my first business that I ran myself and my wife, Fiona, or Fifi, as she's known around here, for 24 years, and that was my first go. Other than the fact that as in business, I had a few jobs here and there, and I used to help out with the New South Wales swimming back in the very early 80s. I was the merchandising officer for about 2.5 years before I joined the Fire Brigade, and then ended up a year later making my own fins and starting my own brand. I guess I had 24 years of experience with my first brand, and it's been just on 10 years now that the DMC's been around.
And going on to the name, DMC, obviously part of your name. Was there any other names that you had in the process, or was it always going to be known as DMC Fins?
It just sort of morphed into that. Look, DMC was my nickname, Don McCready. My old man used to call me. He was DMC Senior, I was DMC Junior. And that was our proprietary limited company name for the first brand that we had, and it just seemed to be a natural progression. I don't know for a long time that the logo that we have was on most of our products, and there was no mention of DMC, which kind of made it a little bit mysterious and underground. We used to get a lot of irate customer service emails from, particularly from US customers, going, "I tried to get a pair of those fins and I don't even know what they're called." So we've gone ahead and funny enough, you can't even see it on these guys here, but we've actually engraved the molds with DMC fins. No, you can't see it.
No,
I can't see it anyway. But you will as they turn up. We just want to. I mean, look, it's not purpose built to be mysterious and sort of hard to find, but it just sort of happened like that, and I just knew that they would locate them eventually, and I think with regards to searches, internet searches, we rate the highest for searches for DMC fins.
Well, that's a bonus.
Yeah, there you go. That made my earbud drop out, that one.
Would you do a collaboration with anyone on your fins? And if so, who would you pick to do a collaboration with?
Well, mate, we actually did kick off a collaboration after the ISPO trade show in Munich in Germany in January this year with Hub, H-U-U-B, the triathlon wetsuit company. We produced a black Elite 2 with Hub logo and DMC combined, but sadly, COVID-19 has just halted everything with regards to what's going on, and particularly they're based in the UK, so they just said, look, we'll wait until we'll see what happens, and then we'll go ahead. We have been approached by several other companies, historically we've had a little little sort of run in with one that we did allow co-branding on one of our products, but I won't go into that due to any legal ramifications that may occur. But look, we're open to it. We've had a few offers, and we're looking at those at the moment. But just nothing's going ahead in that regard right now because of the global pandemic situation. But I'd say in the not so distant future, there may be a few local and international sort of collaboration adventures going on. I couldn't say who. I don't want to sort of mention exactly anyone in specific, and I don't have any favourites. But there may be some electronic adventures happening maybe in the next 12 to 18 months.
That'll be interesting. Can't wait
Sure.
to see that. Yeah. So did you think that DMC was going to blow up as much as it did? So when you first started this brand, did you think it would become what it is today? And, going back to when Michael Phelps wanted your fin, was that just surreal and you're thinking, this is unbelievable?
That was pretty surreal. I mean, although we stood next to each other and had a few pics taken during the process. Mate, he's the loveliest guy. So personable and normal. It was hard to fathom that he was I think at the time he was still there was no one anywhere near the amount of medal tally he had and the sort of iconic status he has in Olympic and swimming history, and then he's gone on and has his he has swim schools and his own brand and the whole bit since then. But yeah, look, we always got good feedback from my previous brand right through, particularly for the two swimming models. I thought, well, that's pretty cool. People are stoked on these things. There was this guy went so well. The originals right across the board from learn to swim through to there were a few Olympians and superstar swimmers, triathletes, and fitness trainers that were using this, and then. And we showed them that one, and they go, well, what do we need both for? It's like, well, there's a time and place for everything. This is kind of a morphed surfing style fin with a strap, as opposed to the old style full foot, with specifically swim training design. Anyway, I haven't forgot the question now. But look, it's really pleasing to know that we can produce something that makes people feel comfortable doing something which is reasonably unnatural. I mean, when you're in the water and you stick something on your feet, I've seen some of the best swimmers not even know how to kick with a pair of fins on. It takes quite a substantial amount of time. Then they stick ours on and they just go, wow, this is so easy, and why didn't I have a pair of these in the first place? But I think we have something like 29 international distributors now, and there's still more to come because of what's just been happening lately with the pandemic, it's just nice to know that people are happy with the products we produce, and we try and do our best and answer every single individual customer service inquiry as quickly as possible, and just get fins on people's feet so they can enjoy themselves.
Yeah. Who was if you can remember, who was the first famous person that you noticed are you wearing your fins? Was it Michael Phelps, or did you have athletes before?
Well, I knew he was because I gave him to him personally. But yeah, look, there was a bunch of Aussies. Gee whiz. I remember giving a pair to Michael Klim a couple of years previous in the year previous in 2010. We know that probably 95% of the Japanese team all wearing a custom colour white and red Elite 2, which is only available to them. Shouldn't really be telling you that now. Now everyone will want to do that. There's just too many to name, particularly in the US. A young guy called Bobby Sabelich, who is he has a site in the US called Athlete Approved. I don't know whether you've ever seen that, but he cornered me in a. I've just got to let the dog out.
Yeah, no, that's all good.
He's getting cranky. Go and see Mum. There you go. Upstairs. He got onto them back in 2012. Look, there's been at the I think it was the 2012 Olympics. There was a whole sort of barrage of them stuck under arms and carried around to training, and I mean you couldn't really tell whose was whose, but most pool decks were just covered in our fins. In that early era in 2011, leading up to 2012, and then the ensuing next round of Olympics. Gosh, it seems longer ago that Rio was on than actual London. I think it's kind of weird the last 10 years, and this year's taking so long. It's just kind of stagnant at the moment. I just can't name too many. There's too many individuals that I've seen using them, and a lot of them are exclusively sponsored by particular swimwear brands that don't like you saying their name in the same sentence as our product. The politics is fun.
Yeah, you would have been through a lot of that.
Sure. I try to skate through that and sort of duck and weave and not really think about it.
Speaking of the politics in around business in general, let's say, have you had anyone try and copy your fin? So obviously with a lot of swim brands, you get a lot of duplicates and a lot of people just straight up copying.
Well, there's a few copies out there at the moment of our Elite fins. There's there's two that have shown up over the last couple of years, and I don't get it. I don't understand why. It's kind of flattering and annoying at the same time. So we'll just take it on the chin and lead in technology advancements with regards to what you can do with something. All I know is that our material, our Silform material, which is it's silicon based, and I know those that are making very similar designs are just not using the right material, and the feedback we get is even though they buy something that looks the same, it may even cost a little less, it's still starting to chew their feet off because the material is inferior. So, as I said, we spent a lot of time sourcing material, and we've got exclusivity on the Silform, which we produce these guys out of, and it's very important. Almost as important as the actual design itself.
Yeah, no one likes home brand products,
mate. You pay peanuts, you get monkeys.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So yeah, DMC is a worldwide brand, and is obviously stocked, you know, in so many countries all over the world. Is there any country that it's not stocked in that you would like to have it stocked in?
Um, uh, yeah, look, at the moment it would be right across Europe with 12 individual distributors had COVID not interrupted everything. Um, uh, uh, but yeah, as we speak, we're building a few orders for Italy and Spain, and we may even be moving into parts of South America very soon in the next few months. Um, but look, we don't have anyone. We don't have anyone selling them in South Africa as well, which is a shame because individual orders cost a significant amount of money to ship from either here or the US or even from our factory in where our good mates in China produce these for us.
Yeah, wow. I'm actually quite surprised that I didn't know that they didn't have them in South Africa. It's such a,
No, I
yeah,
know. I think that a very highly regarded and famous South African swimmer got a pair from me a few years ago, and it just didn't happen. Look, sometimes the right thing doesn't happen at the right time with the right people, and eventually it will happen. We're quietly confident. Since my old brand had a good solid distribution base over there, but like I said, uh, this year in particular, where we've sort of gone from A Point in the brand being available in a lot of places to a real lot of places has just sort of slowed up. So we'll just concentrate on what we're doing at the moment, who we've got, and hopefully the other side of what's currently going on. I think we should be able to fill all spaces.
yeah, yeah. Um, Now, not many people know that you've got a bit of a swim coaching background. Um, so with your fins, do you have a favorite set that you'd like to do with fins, or you'd like to see a bit more of?
Oh, you mean with regards to seeing in swimming or swim coaches using?
Yeah, no, seeing in swimming. So in a swim session, what you'd like to
Yeah.
see more of, or if you have like a personal favorite set that you like to do with swim fins.
Well, yeah. I mean, like I said, I take whatever I can, and I sort of jog around between all of our models. But I do dig swimming with these. I'll even take these for a body surf, and they're just so comfortable, and the designs is tuned so well for like a quick reflex burst of speed, but also for prolonged kicking. So it's kind of like the horse for all courses, and that's the Elite Max. Look, you
Yeah,
can even see it. You can even see it there, back to front.
yeah.
Um,
Black and white they come in, don't they?
they come in black and they come in white, and yeah, until the end of the season, and then maybe something exciting might happen with this model. There's so many exciting things that are looming, but I think what we have at the moment is fairly exciting too. So we'll just sort of run with what we've got at the moment. Um, Look, my favourite set with these is just 500 slow warm up, push and glide, and I was always a happy sprinter at training. So I like my 2050s on the 50 or thereabouts. And in a 25-metre pool, thanks, so I can hit the wall and do a nice push-off. It's of which has has morphed into something really significant with regards to breakouts and streamlining these days. But back in the old school, I'm showing my age. A push off was a push off, and a breakout was probably about 5 meters. Nothing like what's going on these days. But and a lot of one arm freestyle, one arm butterfly. Just making it as easy as possible.
Yeah, yeah. Going back onto like you love your beaches and stuff, obviously. Do you have a favorite beach that you've been to and favorite break?
Oh, mate. Look, I live in Avalon, Sydney Northern Beaches. I grew up in the eastern suburbs of Sydney, and spent a lot of time in Hawaii in the 80s. And there is there's a body surfing wave in it's on the south shore of Oahu, which is the main island where Waikiki and Honolulu is in Hawaii. There's a place called Point Panic, which is kind of like the mecca of body surfing. And the wave there, it's actually a man-made cut through a reef that's formed a right-handed barrel that just winds into the corner of the harbour entrance, and it can be pretty spooky at times, depending on the quality of the water, because it is right around the harbour area. But it's just a magical right-hand barreling wave that sort of winds off inside out almost, and every time I get there, I head straight to Point Panic and get as many waves as I can quickly as possible.
Do you take your hand planing out there?
Yeah, sure. Handboards. My handboards are called mini boards.
Yeah.
But yeah, like a nice large-ish surface area handboard is my choice of body surfing equipment aside from the fins, it just seems to just nick over the top of any sort of undulation that's going to cause spray in the face. I like to keep my head out of the water and see where I'm going these days.
What's the biggest wave that you think you've surfed with that?
Oh, look, I don't get my slide rule out or my tape measure when I'm catching waves, but I know that top to bottom, sort of from trough to peak. I don't know, maybe 20 or 30 feet or something like that. Before it lands on me, or if I'm lucky, I can get inside and come out the edge that way.
What advice would you give someone who's wanting to start their own brand?
Persistence prevails, and get ready for as many knockbacks as affirmative sort of answers. And look, you just got to be really thick-skinned and believe in what you set out to do. Because if you don't, if you take things personally and take them so hard, you're better off going to work for someone else, look, I'm sort of backtracking a little, but look, nothing comes easy, nothing at all, and you just got to give it a go. Like, have a go. Don't stop if someone says, I don't like what you're doing. Because, down the track, there will be someone who likes what you're doing or what you're showing them. And that makes it all worthwhile.
Yeah. And what would you, if you could give advice to your younger self today, would it be the same or what would you say?
Yeah, it would be. It would be, and I know I got it from a bunch of people who who sort of mentored me along the way early in the piece, and I think they saw that I didn't mind getting a knockback. I mean, nothing, uh, no negativity ever falls nicely, on your psyche or your ego, but you just got to let it slide. And as a good friend of mine's old man used to say, when the smoke burns, when the fire burns, bend and let the smoke blow over.
Yeah. Well, that's yeah. Well, thank you so much for the chat. That's all I've got for you today.
Mate, no worries, Jacob. Thanks very much for having us. Yeah, I hope it all goes well. And looking forward to this summer and getting in the swimwear shack stocked up with all the exciting bits that we can provide from DMC Fins.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, well, we'll need it. Heading back into swimming.
Great stuff.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Don, again, Don. And yeah, have a great day and great week. And yeah, take it easy.
Thanks, mate. Good on you.
See you next time. See ya.